Minimum wage to $7.25 an hour has been one of the Democrats' top priorities when they took control of Congress. The issue remains hung up over the question of what, if any, small business tax breaks should accompany an increase. The Senate bill includes more than $8 billion in measures intended to ease the pain on small business. House Democrats who are resisting any tax breaks have now agreed to consider legislation that includes nearly $2 billion in tax relief for business. A vote on that proposal is expected late today in the House Ways and Means Committee. We're joined now by two members of that committee. Javier Becerra is a California Democrat. Tom Reynolds is a Republican from New York. They both join us from Capitol Hill. Thanks to you both. Appreciate it. And this is a bipartisan bill offered by the chairman and ranking member of the Ways and Means Committee. Any doubt, Congressman Becerra, that this is going to sail through this evening?
Oh, I think it'll sail, not only sail through but the committee, but I think it'll sail through the House of Representatives as well. And I hope that means at the end of the day we will have an increase in the minimum wage, and we'll end up with some targeted tax cuts perhaps as well that will go to small businesses and only small businesses without increasing the size of the national deficit.
And Congressman Reynolds, let me get your take on this legislation. As we just mentioned, there's a version over on the Senate side that offered more than $8 billion in breaks to businesses. Would you have preferred to see that measure come to the House?
I didn't like the Senate version. I thought some of the revenue raisers were onerous. I actually favor this $2 billion plan of expensing extensions of 179 and some of the other provisions in it. I also look at it as a floor. There may be opportunity to increase the amount of tax cuts to small businesses, but I think you're going to see support, Democrat and Republican, no amendments. This bill is a great bipartisan effort to get moving and have this language on the floor with the minimum wage bill.
Well, let me ask you if we could, and Congressman Reynolds, I've got you right there. I'll ask you to spell out for me some of the breaks in here for small businesses. There's a big focus. Some restaurant owners might take advantage of some of the credits in here. Are some of these significant? Are they very targeted, focused on very small businesses here?
Well, I think as Javier said, they are targeted, and they're targeted to small business, and particularly as we look at minimum wage, much of it tied with restaurant service industry. Some of this will go a long ways in assisting small businesses. They meet this new federal mandate of minimum wage, that they've got additional expensing provisions of $2 billion. There are other provisions in there also that small business has advanced as helpful to them with a minimum wage increase.
Peter, I think it's important to mention that the focus of these tax cuts are strictly to small business. There's a provision that would help a husband-wife operation that right now, under current law, only allows one spouse to claim deductions for the Medicare payments, therefore take a credit for that. There's a provision in this bill that would allow both spouses to be able to claim the credit as a small business. We have the accelerated expensing for small businesses. We increase the limit a little bit so that you can actually see some small businesses use this business expensing tax deduction to be able to, let's say, renovate their restaurant a little sooner than they thought. And finally, there's a provision in there that really targets just the small businesses as well, to make sure that what we're doing is providing to them, those who probably have a lot of minimum wage workers, that exclusive relief that they might need in case they do say, well, it's going to be tough for us to see the wage increase and not do something to help us offset these costs. The tip credit that we're going to give to employers who have a lot of employees who work off of tips, that will help employers sustain that new increase to the minimum wage.
Congressman Becerra, let me ask you about how you're paying for some of these tax breaks, if you will. This is now the world of pay-as-you-go budgeting, thanks to House Democrats passing legislation earlier this year. This money has to come from somewhere. Can you reassure other businesses, larger businesses, that they're not footing the bill here?
Absolutely, and that's what's, I think, the beauty of this bipartisan compromise is that it's very targeted, not only in its direction of tax relief, but also in its target for the revenue raisers. For example, I think the one that probably is most appropriate here is one that would prevent wealthier families from taking advantage of the reduction in the capital gains tax that would otherwise go to very modest income families. Let's say you've got a business, you're not really rich, but you're still able to take advantage of some of the capital gains taxes that are provided. Well, next year, those capital gains taxes go down from 5% to 0% on those capital gains that you have on selling an asset. Well, a lot of folks who are wealthy might transfer ownership in some of that asset to their children, whose income obviously is very low because they're still children, and therefore those children will be able to write off that asset at 0%, which is not what we meant to do. We meant that to be exclusively for modest income families to be able to pay a lower tax on their capital gains. So that's one way we collect a good chunk of the money to pay for this relief that we're giving to small businesses.
All right, we're going to have to make that the last word. Congressman Reynolds, thank you very much for your time. Congressman Becerra, thanks to you both. Obviously, an issue, piece of legislation we'll be keeping a close eye on over the next couple of days. When we come back here on Money and Politics,